Hello AP students, it's Mr. Russ once again, going to be recording myself from some unflattering angles, talking to you about some of the notes that you'll be missing as a result of me not being there to give them to you in person this Thursday and Friday. I'm going to be going over guided discussions number 8, 9, and 10. Hopefully by this time that you're watching this, the substitute teacher has already given you the packet, the Richard Nixon article. I asked to have that given out on Thursday instead of on Friday, in case anybody was gone. Please make sure that you read that article and have it ready to go by Monday. We'll talk about it, we'll discuss it, and I think it will be very beneficial to you in the not so near future here. All right, or excuse me, in the near future, not so far future. There we go. I'm going to be recording this in segments like I did last time, mostly because my YouTube account was kind of messing with me a little bit, where I tried to go over 7 minutes. So we'll go the first chunk, however far I can get, in guided discussion number 8, and then we'll continue on with that into guided discussion number 9, and then obviously guided discussion number 10 to wrap things up here. I just want to make sure that I mention guided discussion number 8 is going to be primarily about the civil rights movement. You all have a shared document with you that is the PowerPoint slides for unit number 13, so please make sure that you follow along when taking the notes in that. And I would definitely recommend that you please also be sure to kind of pause this video from time to time to make sure you get everything written down that you need to into your notes. I am expecting to see, if I walk around, you having notes, okay, when I get back on Monday. If I don't, I'll highly be recommending that you take care of that before the test. All right. Okay. Chapter 30. We're going to start off by talking about nonviolent nonviolent resistance. Martin Luther King Jr., who was obviously one of the civil rights leaders during the 1960s, he adopted the tactics of nonviolent resistance that had been successfully used by Gandhi, Mohandas Gandhi. There we go. In India's struggle for independence against Great Britain. Nonviolent resistance essentially is using tactics such as boycotts and peaceful demonstrations, and it also involves not fighting back with violence. So even if one was spit at, screamed at, beaten, or jailed. And of course, some of the examples of nonviolent resistance that we see: February 1960, we had the Greensboro sit-in and the sit-in movement. The Greensboro sit-in was in Greensboro, North Carolina. It involved 4 black college freshmen who sat down at whites-only lunch counters. And after the store did not serve them because they were black, they refused to move and stayed until the store closed. Each day, more and more protesters joined them. By the end of 1960, there were sit-ins in more than 100 southern cities. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, again, I'll repeat that, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the SNCC, formed in reaction to this event to coordinate future protests. Oh, here we go. I need a cough drop. Also, an example of some of the nonviolent resistance and some of the resistance during this time period was the sit-in movement. Besides the sit-in movements was the Freedom Rides, or the Freedom Riders of 1961. These people traveled on interstate buses to protest segregation. They purposely sat in the wrong sections of buses and went to the wrong bathrooms at the bus stations. At several stops, white mobs dragged them from their buses and beat them. So very brave souls who endured those freedom rides, and basically trying to gain attention for the cause. Also in 1963, Birmingham. Birmingham, Alabama was one of the most segregated cities in America. Not only Alabama, but also in all of America. In April of 1963, King and Martin Luther King Jr. and the SCLC, that's the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Again, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. launched a nonviolent protest to um, led excuse me, launched nonviolent protests um, to segregation, including sit-ins, boycotts, and protest marches. Um, the police chief of Birmingham at the time was a guy named Eugene Bull Connor, and his police force responded at first by arresting the demonstrators, and then they used high-pressure fire hoses, police dogs, and electric cattle prods to break up the demonstrations. Many of the demonstrators were children, and of course this looked really nasty. Um, the biggest thing that you have to know about this is that this was on TV at the time, and so this is highly publicized. And after the struggle in Birmingham, President Kennedy decided to propose a strong civil rights bill. In August of 1963, some 250,000 Americans participated in a march on Washington in order to pass the Civil Rights Bill. This is where Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. Alright, that's part 1 of guided discussion number 8.